Hey, Flo here for one last reading. Found a spot with a little bit more horizon to it. Not a huge difference, but a little bit better. Let's see, which way do I want to do this? Guess I'll go stand on the right-hand side of the screen, I suppose. I don't know if I should do auto exposure or... I think I'll leave it as it is. This is in the HDR 10 Plus native app, camera app for my Samsung, and I don't know how it'll treat the sky, but whatever. It's quite unpredictable sometimes. But yeah, this will be the last reading of the day. I got a lot done today. I didn't actually think I was going to do all this reading, so it's nice. With this kind of progress, I feel like I might actually finish the reading plan before the year is up. And technically, I probably could, or at least possibly could, do a live stream here, because I think there's more signal than there was back down below, but I'm not going to bother setting that up. It would take too long. I'd miss the sunset, so we'll just start it. So this last one, we're going to read Esther 1 through 3 and Revelation 13. Esther chapter 1. This is what happened in the days of Xerxes, who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Cush. In those days, King Xerxes sat on his royal throne in the citadel of Susa. In the 3rd year of his reign, Xerxes held a feast for all his officials and servants. The military leaders of Persia and Media were there, along with the nobles and princes of the provinces. And for a full 180 days he displayed the glorious riches of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatness. At the end of this time, in the garden court of the royal palace, the king held a 7-day feast for all the people in the citadel of Susa, from the least to the greatest. Hangings of white and blue linen were fastened with cords of fine white and purple material to silver rings on the marble pillars. Gold and silver couches were arranged on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Beverages were served in an array of goblets of gold, each with a different design, and the royal wine flowed freely, according to the king's bounty. By order of the king, no limit was placed on the drinking, and every official of his household was to serve each man whatever he desired. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. On the 7th day, when the king's heart was merry with wine, he ordered the 7 eunuchs who served him, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, to bring Queen Vashti before him, wearing her royal crown, to display her beauty to the people and officials, for she was beautiful to behold. Queen Vashti, however, refused to come at the king's command and brought by his eunuchs. And the king became furious, and his anger burned within him. Then the king consulted the wise men who knew the times, for it was customary for him to confer with the experts in law and justice. His closest advisers were Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media who had personal access to the king and ranked highest in the kingdom. According to the law, he asked, what should be done with Queen Vashti, since she refused to obey the command of King Xerxes delivered by the eunuchs? And in the presence of the king and his princes, Memucan replied, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but all the princes and the peoples in all the provinces, of King Xerxes. For the conduct of the queen will become known to all women, causing them to despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes ordered Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she did not come. This very day the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard about the queen's conduct will say the same thing to all the king's officials, resulting in much contempt and wrath. So if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be recorded in the laws of Persia and Media, so that it cannot be repealed, that Vashti shall never again enter the presence of King Xerxes, and that her royal position shall be given to a woman better than she. The edict the king issues will be heard throughout his vast kingdom, and so all women, from the least to the greatest, will honor their husbands. The king and his princes were pleased with the counsel, so the king did as Memucan had advised. He sent letters to all the provinces of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be master of his own household. I got some colors going on. If I hang around long enough, I think it'll get all pink and purple too, maybe. Should look pretty nice. Oh, not sure how long that'll take, but hopefully it'll happen while I'm reading and stuff. Sometimes it lasts for quite a long time. Esther chapter 2. Some time later, when the anger of King Xerxes had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's attendants proposed, Let a search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king, and let the king appoint commissioners in each province of his kingdom to assemble all the beautiful young women into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch in charge of the women, and let them be given beauty treatments. Then let the young women who please Then let the young woman who pleases the king become queen in place of Vashti. This suggestion pleased the king, and he acted accordingly. Now there was at the citadel of Susa a Jewish man from the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish. He had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those... I was hoping to avoid that. He had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those taken captive with Jeconiah, king of Judah. And Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther, the daughter of his uncle, because she did not have a father or mother. The young woman was lovely in form and appearance, and when her father and mother had died, Mordecai had taken her in as his own daughter. When the king's command and edict had been proclaimed, many young women gathered at the citadel of Susa under the care of Haggai. Esther was also taken to the palace and placed under the care of Haggai, the I hate it. It's all these stupid flies flying around my mouth. I was wondering if they'd eventually go in there. Apparently they do. Esther was also taken to the palace and placed under the care of Haggai, the custodian of the women. And the young woman pleased him and obtained his favor, so he quickly provided her with beauty treatments and the special diet. He assigned to her 7 select maidservants from the palace and transferred her with them to the best place in the harem. Esther did not reveal her people or her lineage because Mordecai had instructed her not to do so. And every day Mordecai would walk back and forth in front of the court of the harem to learn about Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. In the 12 months before her turn to go to King Xerxes, the harem regulation required each young woman to receive beauty treatments with oil of myrrh for 6 months, and then with perfumes and cosmetics for another 6 months. When the young woman would go to the king, she was given whatever she requested to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. She would go there in the evening, and in the morning she would return to a second harem under the care of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch in charge of the concubines. She would not return to the king unless he delighted in her and summoned her by name. Now Esther was the daughter of Abihail, Abihail. Now Esther was the daughter of Abihail, the uncle from whom Mordecai had adopted her as his own daughter. And when it was her turn to go to the king, she did not ask for anything except what Hegai, the king's trusted official in charge of the harem, had advised. And Esther found favor in the eyes of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal palace in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she found grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins. So he placed the royal crown upon her head and made her queen in place of Vashti. Then the king held a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his officials and servants. He proclaimed a tax holiday in the provinces and gave gifts worthy of the king's bounty. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther still had not revealed her lineage or her people, just as Mordecai had instructed. She obeyed Mordecai's command as she had done under his care. In those days, while Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the entrance, grew angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. When Mordecai learned of the plot, he reported it to Queen Esther, and she informed the king on Mordecai's behalf. After the report had been investigated and verified, both officials were hanged on the gallows, and all this was recorded in the book of the Chronicles in the presence of the king. Okay, I gotta take a quick break, blow my nose. Ugh. Alright, not sure how much color we're going to get in the sky, but it's looking pretty nice so far. Let's see, I don't know if I should do a wide angle like that or less wide, because if all the color is kind of just in one area, then it doesn't really make sense to do the rest. Try that. Not sure exactly where to stand, but I should be okay. Esther chapter 3. After these events, King Xerxes honored Haman son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, elevating him to a position above all the princes who were with him. All the royal servants at the king's gate bowed down and paid homage to Haman, because the king had commanded that this be done for him. But Mordecai would not bow down or pay homage. Then the royal servants at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the command of the king?" Day after day they warned him, but he would not comply, so they reported it to Haman. I hate these stupid flies, man. Day after day they warned him, but he would not comply, so they reported it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's behavior would be tolerated, since he had told them he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not bow down or pay him homage, he was filled with rage. And when he learned the identity of Mordecai's people, he scorned the notion of laying hands on Mordecai alone. Instead, he sought to destroy all of Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the kingdom of Xerxes. In the 12th year of King Xerxes, in the first month, the month of Nisan, the pur, that is, the lot, was cast before Haman to determine a day and month, and the lot fell on the 12th month, the month of Adar. Then Haman informed King Xerxes, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the peoples of every province of your kingdom. Their laws are different from everyone else's, and they do not obey the king's laws. So it is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will deposit 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury to pay those who carry it out." So the king removed the signet ring from his finger and gave it to Haman son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. "Keep your money," said the king to Haman. "These people are given to you to do with them as you please." On the 13th day of the first month, the royal scribes were summoned, and the order was written exactly as Haman commanded the royal satraps, the governors of each province, and the officials of each people, in the script of each province and the language of every people. It was written in the name of King Xerxes, and sealed with the royal signet ring. And the letters were sent by couriers to each of the royal provinces, with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate. I think that was a mosquito. Shoot. I haven't seen any, really. I think I got it. Got whatever it was, anyway. And the letters were sent by couriers to each of the royal provinces, with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and children, and to plunder their possessions on a single day, the 13th day of Adar. Yeah, there's mosquitoes here now. It sucks. I had not seen them at all this season until now, and right here. I don't really want to have to put stuff on my legs, but I might have to if they keep coming like that. Stupid. and to plunder their possessions on a single day, the 13th day of Adar, the 12th month. A copy of the text of the edict was to be issued in every province and published to all the people, so that they would be ready on that day. The couriers left, spurred on by the king's command, and the edict was issued in the citadel of Susa. Then the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa was in confusion. I guess it's official. Mosquito season has started. Unless it's just these two, and if once I get rid of them, then it's over. No, probably not. Nice, we got some color in the clouds. I wonder how it looks on the camera. Probably not as good, but check it out. Yeah, of course it's not as good. I wonder if I can adjust the white balance. I don't think so. It doesn't look like that in real life. It looks yellow on the screen, but it's totally salmon colored and on the verge of turning purple. I can't stand cameras. They suck so bad. They just can't capture light. That's what they're supposed to do, but they don't. They suck. So bad. Can't do it justice. I'm going to put a little bit of repellent on my legs at least, because that's where they're really going after me. So I'll just make them fly up to my face probably. Alright, just one more chapter, then I might try to, actually, you know what, I'm going to try to adjust the white balance before I read this last chapter. I'm going to have to stop the recording, restart it, because I don't think I can adjust it on the fly. Alright, just for reference, I switched to the open camera app. I think it looks a little bit better. The colors look more accurate to me. However, what about the angle? Should I do closer or farther? I don't know. It's one of those debatable things. I think in this case, since most of the color is in this central area, I'll just do a closer angle. I don't know if I'll be in this shot much. If I stand close, my head might be in the shot, but it'll be covering half of the sky probably. I don't want to get too close. Maybe I'll just not point it up quite as far. That's kind of crazy. Alright, I'll try that. Wow, mosquito season is definitely going on now. It's pretty extreme. It's not like swarming or anything, but they're definitely here. Yep. Those ones I saw earlier that were around my face, I don't think were mosquitoes, but these latest ones definitely are. It's going to be hard to get through this last chapter. What a nuisance. Yeah, they're like significantly coming. I need to do this quickly so I can get out of here. I want to see the sunset though. Revelation chapter 13. Then I saw a beast with 10 horns and 7 heads rising out of the sea. There were 10 royal crowns on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads. The beast I saw was like a leopard, with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast its power, and the dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast appeared to be mortally wounded, but the mortal wound was healed, and the whole world marveled and followed the beast. Didn't I read this? Is this right? I think I might have put the wrong chapter. Yeah, I did. Okay. I was going to say, unless it's the same thing again. I don't know how I managed that. Okay, let's get on the right chapter here. Wow, these guys are swarming significantly now. Sucks. Revelation chapter 14. Then I looked and saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of many waters, and the loud rumbling of thunder. And the sound I heard was like harpists strumming their harps. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are the ones who have not been defiled with women, for they are virgins. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been redeemed from among men as first fruits to God and to the Lamb. And no lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless. Then I saw another angel flying overhead, with the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. And he said in a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship the one who made the heavens and the earth and the sea and the springs of waters." Then a second angel followed, saying, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, who has made all the nations drink the wine of the passion of her immorality." And a third angel followed them, calling out in a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and its image, and receives its mark on his forehead or on his hand, he too will drink the wine of God's anger, poured undiluted into the cup of his wrath, and he will be tormented in fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. Day and night there is no rest for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. Here is a call for the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven telling me to write, Blessed are the dead, those who die in the Lord from this moment on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labors, for their deeds will follow them. And I looked and saw a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like the Son of Man, with a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple, crying out in a loud voice to the one seated on the cloud, Swing your sickle and reap, because the time has come to harvest, for the crop of the earth is ripe. So the one seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel, with authority over the fire, came from the altar and called out in a loud voice to the angel with the sharp sickle, "Swing your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of grapes from the vine of the earth, because its grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sickle over the earth and gathered the grapes of the earth, and he threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and the blood that flowed from it rose as high as the bridles of the horses for a distance of 1,600 stadia. All right. Yeah, the colors are starting to fade. It's got that nice dark hot pink against some of the purpley looking stuff. Doesn't really show up great on the camera, unfortunately. It's not one of the better sunsets that I've seen recently, but it's decent. Anyway, enough of the color analysis. I think I'm going to end the stream and head out before these mosquitoes all find me at once. Let me see if I can get any closer to see any better colors. Don't have my gimbal on, so I can't do like a smooth panning, but this is on my 3x zoom lens. It looks pretty accurate to what it looks like now. It's starting to fade, so there's not like a ton of color. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this last reading. Honestly, I could probably finish up the entire reading plan in like 1 or 2 days worth of reading, because I think there's only like a little over a week and a half left, so like maybe 7 or 8 readings, less than 10 I think, 8 readings left. So maybe 2 more days worth of reading, unless I might do single readings in a day, like that big hike I just went on. I only had the ability to do 1 reading for that one, but anyway, we'll just play it by ear. But I think I could theoretically finish before the full calendar year is up, but I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this one. I'll probably do another one in sometime in the next few days. Now that I know I have to have mosquito repellent with me, that kind of changes my mood about it, but it's just part of the joy of the season, I guess. I was kind of hoping we were going to avoid it somehow this whole year, because it had taken so long for them to show up, but now they're apparently here. I'm sure they'll just keep increasing. Anyway, we'll catch you later.